is coming to redemption of preference shares. We hear the term redemption. Particularly for accounts, we hear the term redemption because we know very well, even in plus 2 itself, we studied that types of preference shares. On that one type is called as redeemable and irredeemable. Irredeemable preference shares, redeemable preference shares. Now we are going to discuss about the technical aspects of redemption of preference shares. It is the term derived from the Latin phrase which means redimere, redimere, which means redimere. Redimere means back and buy. It's quite interesting that there is another one technical term in accounts called buyback of shares. Redemption, which means back and buy, that is, you are repaying the amount you are, which means buyback. But actual buyback is different. See, what is that redemption? It implies paying back to the shareholders about the preference share capital. So, what the amount invested in the preference share capital in this particular category, that amount is returned. That amount is paying back to the shareholders at the option of the company or after the completion of the period. Section 55, it clearly defines that companies, employees, a company is limited by shares. Right? It clearly says that company is limited by shares to issue special category of shares, that is redeemable preference shares. Under section 55, these shares are issued and the redemption period, it should not exceed 20 years. But at the same time, in case of certain things, that is in case of infrastructure company projects, the redemption can be carried out. The period can be 30 years. Then another one is the repayment is only that face value, repayment of the face value. Whereas if the company repaying more than the face value, then it is named as premium. Okay, and the sources for the redemption is utilized from the profits. What is that profit? Profit in the sense not the ordinary profit. This is profit available for the dividend. Here it is called as CRR. And another one is a fresh issue of shares. So it is from this, it is evident that redemption can be made out of CRR and fresh issue of shares. We should know certain important points in this. What are they? Only fully paid shares can be redeemed. So we cannot redeem the partly paid shares. And another one is, it is mandatory for raising the CRR. Okay, without CRR we cannot go for redemption unless until if it is made with fresh issue. CRR means what? Capital Redemption Reserve. In this also you should note one important point, that previous CRR created, the CRR created previously cannot be utilized for this one. And another one important thing is, it clearly says that section 4 of subsection 4 of section 55 of Companies Act, the capital redemption reserve may be applied by the company in paying the unissued shares of the company to be issued to members of the company as fully paid bonus. So what does it mean? See, CRR, available CRR may also be utilized for issuing the bonus shares. So from CRR only you can issue the bonus. And another some important points to be noted while discussing about redemption. Redemption of preference shares must be made in accordance with the articles of the association. So approval of articles is necessitated. So without approval of articles, you cannot go for the redemption. And the company shall not be taken as reduction of the amount of its share capital. So redemption of preference share is one and reduction of capital is different. Then another one is preference shares cannot be redeemed out of proceeds of fresh issue of debentures. So, these points that confine that. First, CRR should be created that can be utilized, and another one important point here is redemption is made only out of fresh issue of the shares, not fresh issue of the debenture. What does it mean? Debenture is the creditors of the company, so their amount cannot be utilized for paying the amount for preference shares. The second provision of the section clearly says that issue of shares can be made for the purpose of redemption only, so not for the any other thing. If the shares are issued for this purpose, that should be utilized, that should be meant strictly for the purpose of redemption. Then, apart from that redeemable redemption, you can issue the share, that is different. But if the issue is made for the purpose of redemption, it is only for that purpose stated for this. Then another one is CRR can be used for issue of fully paid shares only. So once the shares are fully paid, then only you can go for redemption. What is the meaning for that? Indirectly it insists that partly paid shares that cannot be redeemed. Then there is no need to create the CRR if preference shares are redeemed by converting them into the shares. If you are converting the shares to the ordinary shares, then no CRR is required for this. Okay, these are all the points you should keep in mind for discussing about redemption.